it's a complicated era because we know that the way that you disempower people most effectively, aside from cutting off their information, is to begin to say that most people don't care, that the vast majority of people are not reading newspapers or shutting off from media in some way or another because it just doesn't interest them, they want to do something else. And the second part of the equation is to say that even if they did care, the things they are concerned about are so insurmountable, so big, that they have no power. And when we set out to do this book, those are the two things we really wanted to go at. First off, the fantasy that Americans don't want the news, that they want a sort of prepackaged slurry of Tiger Woods and John Edwards' affair and, frankly, an immense amount of weather coverage. And then some news you can use that will tell you that you're really fat. But you could be thinner. What we would suggest is, no, this isn't the era of the nitwit. This is the era of a media system that treats citizens as nitwits and that says that they don't need information. And we think that an awfully lot of corporate media has stopped trying. And the evidence of their decision to stop trying is that they went out and bought newspapers that they couldn't afford. They spent far more than they should have and ran up immense amounts of debt. And then when there was a little bit of turbulence in advertising, a little bit of competition from the internet, and we outlined in the book why those are not the causes of the crisis, they thought, well, gosh, how are we going to keep our profits up? Oh, I know. Let's give people dramatically less news. Let's give them less information. Let's start laying off journalists. Let's dumb it down so much that the rational decision is to stop getting the newspaper, stop consuming. When we begin with that notion, far from being the era of the nitwit, this is the era of the starving. And we have very hungry citizens who need a lot of information, and they need it now. And perhaps most importantly, in that context, what they need is a sense, rooted in history and in the current moment, that it is possible to get that information. It is possible to change our media system and to create a civic and democratic sustaining media. We know that because American history tells us this. We know that because other countries do it. And we also know that because we still think that these people some would call nitwits are in fact citizens in a democracy, and they understand that the only way that they will ever make this democracy work is as James Madison suggested, and that is to understand that knowledge will forever govern ignorance, and that the democratic control and availability of knowledge will define whether we are a democracy or whether we are a propaganda state controlled by power, by elites that feed us information. That's what our book's about, and we argue we're not nitwits, and it is possible to fix this thing.